This is really more of an experiment than anything. I'm in a particular situation where I feel more relaxed without about conversing or sharing a live information. I realized the other night trying to do it live, I don't know, sonically it was a mess. It was the reaction that I was getting from people, which is fine because I wouldn't have any other way of knowing. And then people are like, yeah, that stuff is not good. So that's part of the experiment is that I'm doing is kind of like the setup because I try to work with the bare minimum. Now, the other thing I can explain is that the background here is the way I've set it up with the visual is to really adjust for the way the lighting and things are as a matter of my surroundings. And I think my intention of trying this out more than anything is to practice how I share certain ideas that hopefully, can expand the parameters of our overall cognition, and which is something that we do not do or practice often, which means if we do not do it or practice it often, that skill slowly disappears. In other words, if we don't think, if we don't exercise thinking, if we don't exercise rational thought, if we don't try to amplify the field of perception or deepen our understanding, then it's never going to feel right. So this is a very, very, very brief live session that is meant more to gauge the response that takes place at this point in time. It is more than anything, it is an experiment right now. The color, the people that come in, me, the things that I'm saying. But at the end of the day, what I want to do is provide value to anybody that steps in. So I'm going to say this one thing, okay? Every single structure or order that we have is manufactured to help us feel somewhat equipped to deal with reality. We need order to deal with reality. And I've gotten to this place in my mind where I don't need order, which is a very unusual thing. In other words, I don't care what day it is. I don't care what month it is. I don't care what time it is. I don't care if it's a special holiday or recognized. I do not care because I understand that the calendar itself, the Gregorian calendar that we use, is an artificial structure. It is a construct and it's superimposed on us, and it demands that we respond to it, and it allows for our behavior to be, channeled in a certain way. And it reminds me, now I hardly watch any TV anymore, but I was, what you would consider like a cultural shop vac. I would like soak everything up, books, movies, ideas, drugs, you name it. I mean, I was like, ah. And now I'm not that person. I've soaked up as much as I could. I've processed it, and I'm here at this point. And the point is that I'm comfortable in the void because I know that I can, I can turn at any point in time. My setup didn't fail, and this was a complete experiment. I'm not wearing my glasses because I'm not concerned about the messaging as much at this point in time, but I do appreciate the messages, and I want to let you know that I see you there, but I don't see you there. And so, like I said, right now it's late. I work very early in the morning. I've coming to the end of an experiment, which is how many days I can be out with the bare minimum on hand and how I can manage that situation to my best ability, relying on as few things as possible as I can, including food and any kind of, sort of artificial relief mechanism, even like, smoking weed or something like that. It's like, it's almost like I've gotten to the point where pretty much I don't feel like I need anything except to be present. And I find that to be the most rewarding condition to be in. You know, I don't have expectations about a future, and I don't tie anything to the past. So I'm just here now. I don't have to create a structure to understand things. You know, I just accept them as they present themselves. But I do try to analyze the sort of I guess that what I kind of refer as to energetic frequencies that people emit. So I'm very sensitive in a way to knowing when a person kind of, you know, is kind of freaking out with me a little bit. And so I know how to like kind of retreat, or when they have a little bit too much of me, because I am so, you know, and I've had very close friends say, I can't hang out with you anymore because you're too intense. It's kind of disappointing at times. But, you know, I get over things really quickly because, again, I don't need external validation for me to be comfortable with who I am, because I know what I've gone through. You know, I've known what I've faced. I know the demons that I've faced. I know the tragedies and the traumas that I've had to contend with to get, you know, to this fucking point. Oops, watch my French. But again, this is not an effort to be cool more than it is an effort to make adjustments for the realities of my surroundings, which is something that I practice very often. And some of you may know, or some of you may not know, that a lot of my sort of my yoga, if you will, is actually a dynamic yoga, in the sense that it's my running. And while I've been away since home from Monday, I left home Monday. So Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, tonight, and now Friday I'm returning. I haven't been able to run, but you know, on average, I kind of on foot, maybe done like 9 to 11 miles. And I'm very strategic, changing, you know, between short pants, long pants, and light type of, you know, quick drying stuff, and, you know, going commando, you name it, adjustments with as little as I have. And I feel very good about how this experiment has gone overall. Now, some may notice a little hoarseness in my voice, and it's because where I am, it doesn't allow me to release my desires to sing and project, or whatever, you know, my joy, or however you want to frame it. But it's something that I really enjoy, is getting out there and singing songs that people don't hear with a lot of frequency. Because when I do karaoke, you know, one of the things that I notice is that the nature of the songs has a lot of negative energy to it. You know, there's like depression and anger and revenge and jealousy. You know, there's not a lot of joy in the things that people choose to sing. And, you know, it's not their fault. It's because the conditions that surround us are like, wow, but we can't change those conditions. The only thing that we can do is change ourselves to be able to regulate our emotional frequency. You know, I don't want to overplay. I want my emotions well regulated, just like I want my car to move and not like stop and go. I want it to do everything to flow. Everything should flow. I don't want to force anything. And, you know, a lot of situations have presented themselves because of that energetic signature. People say certain things to me. It's funny that last night, one gentleman who I've seen over the past couple of years, and, you know, it's acquaintance, and I'm always friendly to the people that I met and meet, and I try to, I don't know, sort of deliver something that they're looking for from an emotional type of sense. But I mean, acknowledgement. It's a form of acknowledgement, what I do. And so I've always acknowledged this gentleman. And I think that sometimes people, the way they might respond to him is kind of like, you know, standoffish, and they don't feel comfortable with his presence. So I don't feel threatened. I don't feel uncomfortable. I'm not judging him in any way. But he said something that was really funny to me. He asked me, he said, "Are you an alien?" I said, "Yeah," because I am, in the context of how I think, what's valuable to me, and and compare that to what I see surrounding me. So in that respect, I'm very alien. I'm very different, not with regards to my appearance, but with regards to just the way I interpret everything, and I sort of, the way I framed it for a friend of mine, who I think has an incredibly wonderful energy, is that it is only us, that we are the architect. So we design the blueprint. We are the engineer. We build what has been designed, and then we maintain it. So we're all three things. We're the architect, we are the engineer, and we are the maintenance crew of what? Of this, our body. This is the only thing that we have, and the quality of what drives it. That's the only thing that has value. So, it's not what I attach myself to. It's not my car. It's not my money. It's not, even my philosophy, my religion, my political status. None of that matters, because it's all fabricated. It all belongs to somebody else. I didn't create this condition. I was forced into it, by, some irresponsible kids, my parents. I was the first one born. And I kind of think that it was my mom's intention, but not my dad's intention. And he was kind of, part of what's kind of referred to as a shotgun wedding, and I've had to process all this information, and there's a lot of emotional frequency dissonance, and different signals that people send. People tell you they love you, but the way they behave is completely the opposite, so it's complicated, and nobody should, anybody who tries to oversimplify this is pretty much indicating that they're a simpleton. So anyway, I've kind of gone on long enough, maybe like 12 minutes or so. Wonderful experiment. I see people that are out there. I don't know who you are because I'm too vain to put my glasses on. And it kind of interrupts the flow. Anyway, it's not important. I'll catch up in that respect, and you'll leave the comments that you leave. I'll save it out there, and then I'll review it. It's no big deal. But thanks for being here. And I'm going to shut this off. And again, I'm kind of working without my glasses, but I think I know how this can end, and fairly abruptly as well. So always put your best in, and you'll see what happens. I mean, the elements will sort of sort themselves out. But we have to be honest with ourselves at all time. And that's something that's not as easy as it sounds. So have a great one, and, navigate the ship. Don't let somebody navigate it for you. Take it easy.